Hello everyone, this is Brad. This video I'm going to be talking about not only witch doctors and this particular really fast, efficient acid rain build, but I'm also going to be talking about some of the principles I use for farming and how to get better gear, more gold. I see a lot of people saying they're really frustrated because they don't get good items and gold. So that's really sort of where it's geared towards. This build is extremely fast, it's extremely efficient. And it's also a lot of fun, even though not enough people play Witch Doctors. I don't think, there's not very many of them out there. I have a level 100 Paragon Barbarian, so I have played the game quite a lot. I stopped playing the Barb a little bit just to get into the Witch Doctor. I think I'm Paragon 55 at the moment. It's a lot of fun, and it's really almost as efficient, if not more so. So let's go over it really quick. I don't want to bore you. I know most people use a pretty standard setup of skills, so I'm going to be pretty frank here. Soul Harvest with Vengeful Spirit, no other rune. They're all terrible. For what we're doing Monster Power 0 or maybe 1, whatever's best for you, probably 0 for most people. Doing higher Monster Powers really isn't efficient unless you have insane gear. So we're going to do... we're not going to be worried about mana. With this build and sacrifice, we don't need mana, we don't need life, and the duration is ridiculously bad. So we're just going to go with the damage it deals. It can be cast a lot with this build, so it's very useful. Horrify with Stalker, as I said earlier, is a really fast build, so we want to maximize our movement speed with Stalker from Horrify and Spirit Walk. Those two abilities are going to allow us to move really quickly, really all the time, especially whenever you're in large groups of monsters. Lastly, for this particular build, I think this is the most efficient. Sacrifice with Pride. It's going to give us 294 mana per dog we sacrifice. It's generally going to be, you're generally going to have a few of them out. Even 1 or 2 is really going to give you like all your mana back with the already high mana regen that there is. All the other runes I really wouldn't use. I really use Sacrifice just for Pride. I really don't use it for the damage. It's nice, it hits things sometimes, but it's not why I use it at all. I use Poison Dart with Splinters. I don't think there's a better single target DPS primary. It's the only reason I use it. All the other abilities either don't do damage or they're AoE. So I just wanted something for single target. I hardly ever use it at all. Lastly, most importantly, Acid Cloud, obviously with Acid Rain. So with this build, and I'll start, I might be a little distracted here because unfortunately I don't know how to edit anything, so I'm just kind of voicing this over as I do it, but we're really just going to want to focus on a couple things. We want Horrify and Spirit Walk to be up 100% of the time. We always wanted them to be up, so we're basically just going to keep casting them even when we're not in combat, even when we're just walking around, because they're going to come off cooldown almost immediately once we get packs of monsters. So right here, as you can see, as I leave that combat right there, I'm moving really quickly. With 24% movement speed on the gear, and then the 50 and the 20, you're moving like 90% or whatever. So it's very quick. I think it might be 94%, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, 94%. So it's really quick, and we want to use it as much as possible because that's going to allow us to get through this run as quickly as possible. This is obviously the standard Alcazar. Now I'm also using Soul Harvest, basically as much as I can. Sometimes even using nothing is around, just because I'm so used to it. Obviously that serves no purpose, but it's just used all the time because in these monsters with the pickup radius, it's always up. That's and then aside from that, obviously you're just going to cast Acid Rain pretty much on everything. When I say Acid Rain build, it is Acid Rain. I really don't use, like I said earlier, I don't really use Poison Dart hardly at all. Sometimes on an elite, if for whatever reason they're going down too slowly. But you always have mana with this build, so you can really just use Acid Rain. And obviously Sacrifice too. All you're gonna want to use that for is it's nice for damage right here. I'll run out of mana. Boom. That was 1 dog. I'm already at 3/4. I mean, and you're almost always gonna have 2, 3 up. Almost always. So it's pretty much right there's 3. There's full mana again. So you can really not worry about mana hardly at all, and that's what just makes this really nice. That's really it for the build. I mean, you just focusing on getting that movement speed all the time, like right there. All the time you want to be moving as fast as you can. and making sure you can always have mana, and using acid rain as much as possible. It's nice to get to a point where right there where one acid rain will kill that little pack of monsters. But if you have to use 2 or 3 of your gears, if you're trying to get better gear, that's fine, obviously. But I also wanted to talk about farming, as I said right at the beginning. Now, as I'm going through here, I'm not picking up any rares in this video. I usually do pick up one-handed weapons that of useful types, and gloves, amulets, rings. Occasionally I'll pick up shoulders, and the reason for that is there's a lot of wasted items out there. There's a lot of we don't need to pick up chest piece, because for the most part everyone is every barbarian is going to use an Immortal Kings, and if they're not, it's going to be another legendary. So we don't really need to pick up an Archon armor, even though it can theoretically roll ridiculously well. It's probably not going to, and it's just going to take time to pick it up. Now, if it's right by your feet, go ahead and pick it up if you want, but it's really not gonna benefit you. Whereas gloves, there's really no good legendary gloves at all, except for the Immortal Kings. It's really it. So gloves are always going to be very useful. Also, amulets, rings, of course, amulets especially. Rings not as much. I have a Hellfire ring on right now. It's horrible, but I use it for the experience. A lot of people do when they're leveling. On my barb I have a couple, but for the most part a lot of people use one, so that's only going to render one slot. And then most people will have either a pox if they're a witch doctor, a wizard, a reflection if they're for the good ones. So they're also really not as important as amulets. Now, after you sort out what items you're going to pick up, obviously you pick up whatever you want, but once you sort that out, you want to go about just going through as quickly as possible. And the way to really do that is to just not really focus so much on the items on the ground. Just focus on the legendaries. Just listen for that noise, or wait for it to ping on your mini map, because otherwise it's really not going to be worth the time to stop and pick all those up. Pick them up if they're by your feet. Otherwise you should probably just keep on going. Right here, you should just check for the shrine. Now, I see a lot of people, saying that they don't have gold or the items they want. The most important thing I would say on that is, it can be very frustrating, and I think the best way to combat this is you need to realize that you have to tilt this game's odds in your favor. There's obviously a static chance for a legendary to drop off of monsters, and that chance is going to be affected by your magic find. Now, those things are very, very small. It's a very small percentage, and the magic find, although it makes a difference, is not a significant difference. Monsters are still going to drop them, even though you might get a lot of them for the amount of monsters you kill. They're going to drop infrequently, and we want to make gold. We want to get really good items. The only way to really do that, outside of obviously getting extremely lucky, which for the most people, for the most part, is not going to happen. If it does happen once, is going to have to be a consistent, really just consistently playing as fast as you can. If you play slow, all you're going to do is you're going to waste time. Let's say running around here, checking up here, and there's like a pack of monsters, or there might, usually there's none over there. If there's 0 right here, running backwards a little bit, that kind of stuff, it'll just waste time, and you're going to kill a lot less monsters. And to be honest with you, that's the only way to really reliably make gold in this game, is to kill as many monsters as you can. I don't care what your magic find is. Obviously the higher the better, but you really just have to kill tons and tons and tons of monsters. So you really want to kill them on monster power 0, and just do it as fast as you can. That's going to tilt the game's odds in your favor. That's going to make sure that all those horrible legendaries you get, all those awful Frostburn gauntlets and Spirit Stone helms that are just Mad Stone or whatever, they're just terrible. They can never be any good, pretty much, for like those gloves and whatnot. So, as much as you're going to get those, the odds of getting an Immortal King's chest are the same as getting an Immortal King's gloves. And the gloves may be worth nothing, and the chest is always going to be worth, at least, however many million gold. And the only way to ensure yourself that you get an Immortal King's chest, and you will, is to just keep playing and to play as fast as possible. People say it's RNG. I don't think there's a set or a legendary item I haven't gotten. Granted, that's because I've been playing a long time, and I play a lot. But most of those items you get are going to be horrible anyway. So you just, it's not, you can't even really get too excited when you get one. but you know, if you keep playing fast, you're going to get good items. What generally yields a lack of items is just playing slow. You know, checking the auction house is a really big waste of time. I went through that for a while, where whenever I was playing, that's all I was doing, was checking the auction house and, you know, seeing. And to be honest with you, I always spend my gold when I have it. So when I have 200 million gold, I spend it. So right now I only have 5 million. Obviously, I'm not going to get any upgrades for 5 million. So me trolling on the auction house all day, it's just going to be a waste of time. You know, once in forever will you actually find an item for 5 million gold that was somehow put up for a ridiculously low price. So it's really not worth it at all. So you really want to just maximize your time in the game. That's sort of the beauty of playing hardcore. In hardcore, you know, you really just have to play the game, because you start from scratch. You have to pick up, you know, gems, and you have to pick up tomes because you don't have any gold yet, and you have to sort of build your way up. You got to think of that this way as well. Building yourself up after a big purchase. After, you know, let's say you've only gotten one good item ever and you blew your gold. Well, you got to build it up somehow, and we're going to build it up by just playing really quick. You know, right here. I mean, I'm not stopping at all. You know, just going as fast as possible, knowing the routes you play, you know, as best you can. Things like that work really, really, really well. I'm just going to finish out farming here. I have a lot more to say, but I'll make another video. I talk a lot and I get on little tangents and rants, so I'm just going to finish up the video with a little bit of music.
Strike.